All right, we're back. All right, let's have a little chat here. We're getting started here with Module 9 and 10. But before we I provide an overview of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about Exam 1. And I have waited until I was finished grading Exam 1 before actually preparing this movie stuff. All right, I'm sure you appreciate my humor. So, Exam 1. Performance here was actually a bit uneven. We had a couple people who did very well, some who were solid Bs, and some who were below that. So I want to provide just a little bit of instruction of what the expectations are with these assignments. So Exam 1. The first critical flaw for some of you was you didn't follow the instructions. That's important. All right, so instructions. One of the things that should be demonstrated on exams, reaction papers, discussion posts is to demonstrate deep knowledge of the text. So, for example, on Exam 1, the instructions there, I actually explicitly stated that you were supposed to cite at least once within every answer where you're getting your information from the text. And this was a tool I was using to get you to focus on details within the text rather than just providing some general discussion which was not really firmly based in what you should have absorbed from the text. So there was only a couple of you of our class that actually really explicitly followed those instructions. So I was disappointed there. And when I'm disappointed, it's reflected in your grades. Surprise, surprise. Another thing that I explicitly asked, I talked about doing research, independent research. You need to have deep knowledge of the text, and we were looking at the Whole Foods case, and you need to do some research to be able to respond and relate those back to the core concepts we're talking about within the class. Some of you took that seriously. Some interpreted that, even though I explicitly stated start with the website, then go to LexisNexis and other sources to get independent sources of information over and above the website. There was really, some of you didn't do particularly well there. So when I say conduct research, I mean conduct research, and that needs to show up within your exams. Another thing I was really disappointed with, in some cases, certainly not all, but in some, is a master's program should embed within you at a very deep level critical thinking and ability to think critically, an emphasis on collecting information that's going to provide you sources of knowledge to help that critical thinking process along. Some of you, as I mentioned, just basically looked at the Whole Foods website and had that as almost your entire response about this particular company. As you know, getting information off the website is getting information from somebody's mother. There's no real motivation there to be critical, no motivation to provide negative information. You know, your dirty laundry, your court cases, employees suing you, those types of things aren't going to show up on your website. So in the future, when I say conduct research, and everything you do throughout your master's program really needs to show that critical thinking is taking place and the process to really make great managerial decisions and evaluate managers and other companies, that's there. So critical thinking, critical. A favorite word for the day on a Friday. And again, I'm sure you appreciate my humor and joy here as we approach the weekend. All right, so people who did A's got A's and B's. That's great. People who got C's or below, I am giving you the opportunity to take another look, go back to your exam, and if you so choose, submit a revised exam number 1 no later than Sunday at midnight. So just perhaps we were unclear about expectations. This is a demanding MBA program on an accelerated format at a major state university. Our standards are high, and as you get further and further in the program, you'll hopefully, given that this is your first class for many of you, we need to set our standards clearly in place now, the socialization process about what's expected here. And really, we're not just being difficult professors. This is really what's needed to gain the knowledge needed for an MBA. And I am really not interested in just teaching you to be organizational members. I'm interested in teaching you to be great organizational leaders. That requires a standard of preparation, of work, of diligence, of critical thinking. Again, favorite word for today. That's what you're going to get from my class, or you should get from my class. And if you want to get a good grade, that's what you need. So, all right. So, we talked about exam one, expectations. You have another critical event here coming up. As you know, reaction papers are due by Sunday night. If you look at the syllabus, of course, provided in the introduction, at the end of that syllabus there is an abundance of information about reaction papers, what's expected there, and the grading rubric also for reaction papers. If you've got some questions, shoot me an email. I think I'm pretty good at responding to those. And again, we need to get to the level where we're just, as Steve Jobs says, A players like to work with other A players, and that's what this master's program is about. So I think enough said on that. All right, moving on. Let's talk about some content. We're moving into Module 9 and Module 10. As I've got within the little introduction here, I started off my academic career, at least with my PhD studies, as an organizational behaviorist, which really focuses on business psychology, really focuses at the level of the individual. So in this class, we're moving from looking at external factors, looking at macro strategic level decisions made by managers of firms, how they make those, and really moving down to the individual and the group level within this particular module. So at least for me, it takes a little shift, a little screw or switch needs to turn, and we need to think about individuals rather than organizations and what makes individuals work. Of course, critical stuff. So I think this Module 9 especially is a great chapter with this focus on the individual. Everybody coming out of a management class working in organizations needs to understand the basics of individual behavior in organizations. By the end of this module, you should all know what OCBs are, organizational citizenship behaviors, the basics of cognitive dissonance theory and why it's so powerful within organizations. I think it's just a fantastic idea that some people may value one particular thing and have an attitude, a positive attitude, or negative attitude towards that. Get in a situation where you're actually required to perform that behavior that's going to work back and change your attitude towards that. At least that's what cognitive dissonance theory predicts. It's powerful tools. We look at personality here a little bit. Myers-Briggs, I'm an ISTJ. And as I mentioned, my wife loves this. I'm much more a big fan of the Big Five. I think that's much more insightful than Myers-Briggs, at least for my way of thinking, but you need to know about both. Things like emotional intelligence, locus of control, Machiavellianism, attribution theory, fundamental attribution error. These are all things and concepts that managers need to be familiar with and use that information to be an effective manager / leader and understand individual behavior in organization. Module 10, we move on to groups. Critical parts here, stages of group development, group roles, group cohesion, how that impacts performance, types of teams there are out there in organizations. This is all key. As we move into the weekend, I think there's some NBA playoff games. I really like the group role stuff. There's in Sports Illustrated, of course, a sports publication. It's got an article about LeBron James, of course, the star player for the Miami Heat, and talks about how he does not just play a specific role. He's not just a small forward. He can be a center, he can be a point guard, a shooting guard, large forward, power forward. He can take on all these different roles. As mere mortals, typically when we work within teams, we play one particular role, and it's important to understand what roles we're good at, what roles we're not particularly good at. Again, these are key parts of the managerial role and understanding groups. Well, we've seen some stuff about groups already, for example, with our 12 Angry Men video. All right, so Another favorite part of Module 10 that I really enjoy is I've asked you towards the end of the module to get on the Stanford Entrepreneurship Corner and to do a search looking at team building and see some of the great entrepreneurs within the world talking at Stanford about how they put together teams, how they manage teams to really come up with great companies. I think I've got some suggestions that you might want to look at. The Spotify founder, for example, talking about globally distributed teams, a fantastic one, and many others within the Stanford series. All right, so that's it. If you have questions, of course, send me an email. We can set up, if you want to have something a little more than just exchanging zeros and ones and letters, we can set up a Skype call, for example, a regular call, old technology. Lots of ways that we can communicate and accomplish what we need to accomplish in this class. If you have questions, comments, again, let me know. If you want to peel something from your exam, for example, it would be great to talk to you about that. I do, within all my classes, have a formal procedure where if you think I've graded you incorrectly, you are welcome to submit a formal written appeal to that, relying on factual arguments rather than emotional ones. I'll be happy to reevaluate your exam. So, people, week 5 already. Hope things are going well. Hope you're getting what you need to out of this class, and it's going to be a great start to your MBA program. All right, go out, do well, have a good time. Bye-bye.